Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland. Mini Coopers have been around for a long time now. In fact, 2009 marks the 50th anniversary of the little car. The first Mini Cooper came off the assembly line of the British Motor Corporation in England in August of 1959. To celebrate that anniversary, approximately 200 Mini Coopers and their owners have converged on beautiful Winona to talk about the care of and share stories of their minis, to meet old friends and meet new ones, and to have a good time. We're going to tag along with them, learn about the Mini Cooper, and have some fun too.
The Mini automobile is an unfamiliar car in the Heartland. Not many Minis are seen around these parts. But during the National Mini Meet East Meets West car rally in Winona in July 2009, the importance of the charming little car was revealed. Ask any of its enthusiastic owners and you will see what I mean.
Well, we like something different, and it's really a different car. You know, it's small, it's unusual, and no matter where you drive, everybody's like, hey, look at that, you know, and they wave, and you go down the highway and everybody gives you the thumbs up, or some people even take pictures of you with their camera.
What's it like driving this cute little car?
It is much easier to drive, and I feel more secure in it than in any big car. You can't beat this out on the road. It handles so well.
That's my husband's. Look at his tag.
You guys have matching?
No, they don't match. His is not cute. Mine's cute.
With the new Mini, driving is no problem, hassle-free.
So it handles really well for you.
Beautifully.
Doesn't matter where I am, it gets me home.
See, that's my Mini.
Is that your Mini?
The original Mini, which was built by the British Motor Corporation in 1959, was designed by Sir Alec Izagonis in response to a fuel shortage caused by the 1956 Suez Crisis. He designed a fuel-efficient compact automobile that could comfortably fit a family of four, which drove with the go-kart feel of maneuverability. It proudly became Britain's wonder car. Not only was it serviceable for a family of four, but it was stylish, fun to drive, and affordable. In 1961, John Cooper, designer of Formula One and rally cars, entered the picture. Recognizing how well the little box on wheels maneuvered on the road, he stepped up the design of the car with a more powerful racing-tuned engine. Thus, the Mini Cooper was born. It was not only used as a family car, but a rally racing car as well. In Britain, it was known as the car of the century.
I'm standing with Carl Jensten by his cute little Mini. I mean, these things really are tiny and they're so adorable. Carl is the president of this overall Mini Cooper event here in Minnesota and here in Winona today.
Correct.
Tell me about the event itself.
This is the 50th anniversary of the original Mini, and this is a East Meets West meet that happens every 5 years, and we were lucky enough to be able to host that meet. And we formed a group called Minnesota United Minis from our two clubs up in the cities, Mimpipsha and Soda Minis. And our club, Mimpipsha, is mostly the classics, and Soda Minis is mostly the new Minis. So we got together and formed a committee called MUM, or Minnesota United Minis, to put on this event.
I can't tell you how honored we are in Winona to have your organization here. Tell me why you chose Winona.
Well, we were looking around Minnesota. We wanted to be in Minnesota because we thought Minnesota would be just the perfect place for the 50th anniversary in the United States. And we looked at Brainerd and St. Cloud and Rochester and Winona, and we came down here and just fell in love with the place. It's so beautiful, the bluffs, the people are so friendly and helpful, it just became a natural to have this event. So.
And you're going to have some wonderful events, aren't you?
Yes, but today is the car show. As you can see, there's about 180 cars on display here, and we've got about 300 people that came to the meet. And tomorrow we're going over to Southeast Tech, and we're going to have an autocross, which is a parking lot type slalom, and a fun kana, which is just a first gear fun thing. It's silly fun, but you drive your car, and also have some tech sessions, and we have vendors here selling car parts and T-shirts, and Thursday we're having a rally out on the back roads, which minis just love the twisty back roads around here. With all the bluffs, you get a lot of great roads.
Well, let's talk about your cute little Mini here. Does he have a name?
Yes, he's Mr. Peepers.
Mr. Peepers?
Yeah, my wife was a nurse in the eye department. That's when I met her. I was in the hospital. I got some chemical in my eye where I worked.
Oh.
And so when I was taking the car apart, there was some Mr. Potato Head parts laying around in the car because 2 kids lived in the back seat as their mother drove errands with this car before I got it. And I found Mr. Potato Head parts, and there's a couple of those little eyeballs that go on the potato, and I thought, oh, perfect, eyes, Mr. Peepers.
Describe your car to us.
Okay, well, my car is a 1972 Canadian car that they imported to Canada. It's a 1,000 cc's, or 998 actually. Fully rebuilt. We had to replace a lot of the bodywork, the front fenders, the grille panel, the floorboards, the door skins, the A panels, which are the little ones right behind the fender, and the boot lid and the rear valance. So it's had quite a lot of body work done. And I didn't do that part. I sent it out for that, but I did all the mechanical work myself.
Wow. And look at this fender. My goodness, this has got to be the tiniest little fender I've ever seen in a car.
Those are extensions.
It is so cute.
To cover the wider wheels.
Okay, so normally it doesn't even have a fender like
exactly.
that. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the engine.
Okay. Yeah, this was one of the first cars to go into production with the transverse engine and the front-wheel drive, and it kind of started the whole trend for all the cars afterwards. And the American cars, many of them are still like that way, and there's a lot of European cars that are doing that too, and even the Japanese cars. This is a 4-cylinder 998cc engine. This one's upgraded to Cooper specs, which is a little hotter than stock, so it's got a little more pep. And it's got a single carburetor. It's an alternator, so some of the older ones had generators back then. And I've done a few things. I've got a mild cam in there and a header, and so I got a little more power, and it's great fun. Well, Joyce, would you like to try sitting in my car?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably going to be just my size, actually.
Well, you'll be surprised how spacious it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it really is. I can barely reach the pedals here.
Well, the seat's set back for me. I'm a little taller than you are, but yeah, this is made for, fit a family of 4 and all their stuff. So the speedometer was in the middle because they made them left-hand drive like this one and right-hand drive in England.
Got the parking brake, and it's got 4
4-speed, yep.
Okay, nice. Really cute.
One of the features of the early Minis was the boot lid that folded down from the top down. And that was so they could put more luggage in the trunk than it would actually hold when it was closed. And what would you do is stack your suitcases in here and stack some more out on here and then strap them down. And then if you were going on vacation for a couple of weeks, you had more luggage space.
Oh, perfect.
So
it's a really compact, economical, practical car.
Space efficient.
Yeah. How many miles to the gallon do you get with this little car?
This one gets about 37.
Awesome.
I've got about 60 horsepower with it. So.
Well, the first ones were made in 1959. Were they made continuously then?
Yes, they were made up through the year 2000. They made 5.4 million of the early ones. And then BMW had acquired Mini back in 1994. From a series of corporate changes, they decided to continue the Mini with a 2001. It came out in England, which is the new Mini you see at the dealers around the States now. They're just as much fun. They're a little bit different because they're more of a modern car, and these are more of a basic classic car, but they're all fun to drive.
There are so many varieties here. It looks like you have a lot of different classifications of cars. Can you maybe take us through and tell us about the different classifications?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, great.
Okay.
At St. Jan's Field behind St. Mary's University, on the first day of the Mini Meet, there were Minis all over the place. There were classic Minis and new Minis. Mini pickup trucks, mini vans, mini woodies. Mini racing cars, mini hot rods, mini sports cars, and mini mokes.
DMC also made a Jeep-like version of the Mini based on the Mini mechanical parts, but they have a Jeep-like body, and it's called the Mini Moke. The Moke was originally designed to see if the military would buy it as a British Jeep-type vehicle, but they thought it was just a little too small and underpowered for what they needed, but it became very popular for farmers and people who just like the open motoring.
And they even had parachutes that would go with them. They could push them out of airplanes. Yeah, drop them out, drop them into a field, drop the parachute guys out, and then jump in the Moke and off they go. The bad thing was that they had the 10-inch wheels, and they only had front-wheel drive, so they weren't like a Jeep. That's why they didn't work. You drop them in a mud field, and they didn't go anywhere. So then they shipped them to places that they could use them without any windows or doors. When it rains, you get wet. Hey, so what? Well, and people are always asking, you know, when you go to a gas station, does it go in water? They're thinking of it being an amphi car. Well, all these cars will go in water. They won't necessarily come out, but they'll all go in water.
This is one of the earliest of the generations of Mini Cooper. They were built from about 1959 through 1967, 68, right in there. And they have the rounder shaped grille with the little whisker extensions. It's called a mustache shape. They have the small taillights and the sliding windows on the doors and the outside hinges. And they did the outside hinges and the sliding windows and through Mark II, but the Mark II got a different grille and bigger taillights. And then my car was a Mark III, which I went to internal door hinges so they didn't stick out on the side like that, and roll-up windows finally. After that, they were harder to tell apart, but they kept getting more and more updates. And up through the late 90s and 2000, they started getting the nicer interiors and the air conditioning, you know, and the leather and the full dashboards instead of the little pods like on mine. So they went through quite a metamorphosis over the years.
All right. And is there anything that distinguishes the second row that you said that was the...
These are the kind of the factory hot rods, the Coopers and Cooper S's. It was kind of like, if it was a Camaro, it would be a Z28, you know, so they got a little more powerful engines and better brakes. And they were used in, you know, they did that so that when they competed in rallies and races, they had the better equipment to compete with. And the early 60s, in 64, 65, and 67, the Mini Cooper S's won the Monte Carlo Rally outright, beating Porsches and Citroens and Saabs. And they handled so well in the snow, and it was up and down mountains through the Alps, and they'd wind up in Monte Carlo in the city of Monaco. And they just went the best. You know, nobody could keep up with them.
That's amazing.
It's one of the factory high-performance cars. It's a Cooper S. It's got a bigger engine than the normal Minis. It's got a little more power. It's got better brakes. It has twin carburetors. This is basically the same kind of car that won the Monte Carlo Rally those 3 times. The Austins were actually called Austin 7s, and the first Morris Minis were called Morris Mini Miners.
Okay.
And after a year or so, they just dropped the minor name off Morris Mini and changed the Austin 7 to Austin Mini.
Okay, so would this be a supercharge?
Yeah.
Is that S
Well,
mean
S
supercharge?
is the faster of the 2 Cooper types.
Okay.
Austin is the Austin brand, and the Cooper is means it's a high performance car. They're all Minis, and then some of them are Coopers, and the Cooper designates it's a higher performance car. Okay. Now this is the estate version, which is like the station wagon we call it here, and it had a full back seat, and it had a little longer wheelbase and more room behind the back seat to replace the smaller trunk. You got the double open rear doors, so you could haul more cargo. They also made a van like that, which didn't have the back windows or the back seat. And they used those commercially for a lot of deliveries and electric companies, and the Royal Auto Club used those for emergency vehicles to help people on the road with flat tires and things like that. So,
oh my, what a beautiful interior.
This one actually has roll-up windows and vent windows, which most of the Minis didn't have. But it's got the same center pod speedometer, and this one's a right-hand drive because it was made for South Africa, which drove on the same side as England did. Estate cars were a little more upscale. They had the wood framing around the sides. These are called the Woodies, and they're a little more classy looking maybe than the plain-sided ones, but they're still a Mini. They're basically, the big difference is the wood, but they drive the same. They're They're just as much fun. It's just a little bit different look.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a 1967, so it's a very early one. This is an Innocenti, which is the Italian version. The Innocentis had a little bit nicer interior. Some say they were built a little bit better quality-wise, so these are very desirable.
The car with the wood framing is also known as the Countryman. The one next to it with the larger wood fender was made in 1982. Not only did the Mini Meet offer a good variety of minis for us to view in Winona, but their owners came from a variety of places, bringing their minis from across the nation. Mike Priest brought his special mini cruiser from Orlando, which originally came from England.
It was just custom made in England and many years ago, and it won Best Custom Mini in the world. And it's just been a fun ride, and I say it's different and it attracts a lot of attention. It was chopped originally and it still looked like a Mini on the front end. We've added the Chevy eyebrows, and a street rod guy named Hutch did all the work on it for me. And he redid the back end, and it's got 56 Plymouth tail light buckets on there, and he just streamlined everything, made the fender skirts. It's all metal. And, yeah, he spent a lot of time on it, and I spent a lot of money. There's an American car cruised in England, and they had a competition to actually build an English car to look like an American car, and this one won it. And then the editor of Street Machine magazine bought the car, and he gave it away in a competition, and I bought it from the guy that won it. He didn't really want it. It's a 63 and a 71, so front end welded on the back of another one. So it's just something to go cruising in on a Saturday night.
Yeah, well, we drove from Key West, Florida, to Hyder, Alaska, and back to Winona. Wow. It was 7,582 miles. We went to the only place in Alaska you can drive to without going on the Alcan Highway. My first trip was 15,000 miles around the U.S. One on the front is the North American Classic Mini Brigade, and you get that for driving at least 5,000 miles in one trip in a Classic Mini. This is what you do when you retire, you travel.
The newest of the Classic Minis, produced 10 years ago, also showed up with its owners. Hi, where are you from?
We're from Flemington, New Jersey.
Oh, and you are his son, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, what's your name?
Howard.
Howard?
I'm Howard.
Okay, Howard. Well, tell me about your Mini Cooper here. It's a darling little car. I love the color. It's a little different.
Well, this is actually a 1999. It's an anniversary edition. It's a 40th anniversary edition, and this is exactly how it was produced. With the red interior and the dash and the wheels, it's exactly stock. The only thing we changed on it is the stereo. We need a little better sound.
In this car, I built a custom stereo box in the back. The JL subwoofers underneath the back seat. There's an amp under both seats. Has a GPS voice-activated navigation, DVD touchscreen.
Wow.
It's all original. That's what makes it special to us and to a lot of other people, that it's not modified at all. You know, it's just a pure original car.
Sure.
And that's how we'll always keep it.
Great. It's absolutely beautiful. And welcome to Winona. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for having us up here.
My car is a 1964 Austin Mini Cooper S that has been a race car ever since it has been brand new. It has been to the runoffs 11 years, the SCCA runoffs. It has been to a hill climb down in Chimney Rock, North Carolina, 30 years straight. Jack Baumgardner was the one that campaigned this car. This is a front drive car. This car was last raced in 1996, and he pulled it in the barn, and I got it from him about 3 years ago. It'll be back on the track once again, and we will race it again somewhere. And it's a blast. I love it.
Okay, so over there on that side of the lot are the older original classics, and on this side are the newer.
Actually, these started in England in 2001 with the new model Minis. We got them here in 2002 when Mini started importing them again. And so there's dealers all over the country now for these new ones. In the background there are the Coopers and Cooper S's. The Cooper S's have that scoop in the middle of the hood, and the Coopers don't. The Cooper S's are either supercharged or turbocharged, so they have more power. Here in front of us are the Clubmans. These are the estate version, the extended back end and the double doors. And there's also the convertible like over here.
So Merlin, where are you from?
I'm originally from South Africa, but I live in the Twin Cities.
And you have a beautiful little Mini Cooper. Well, tell me about it. What makes this Cooper special?
It's a barrel of fun to drive. It's like driving a go-kart.
Is this like right fresh off of the press?
Yes, this is it's standard.
Well, open it up and sit in it for us and show us what it's like for you.
What are you televising?
Now, why do you lock a convertible?
That's a good question. A little stupid, but a good question.
Okay. Well, describe the inside for me.
Okay, in the old original Minis, you've seen the old classic ones. They had the big speedometer in the middle here. Well, they've kept the look of that. And so that we've got that one, but I also have the digital one in front here with the tack.
Okay. Well, start her up for us. I want to hear it. Ooh, it sounds nice. Now, does it go fast for you?
Oh, yeah. I've actually had this thing at about 95.
Is that right? And, are you taking...
I was in fifth gear, and I still have one more gear to go.
Wow. So what do you think the potential is?
They say they're rated to do about 125. So I haven't been that brave, but 95 is fast enough.
So where do you two come from?
Ottawa, Canada.
You came all the way from Canada. So what was the trip like? Did you drive it in your Mini?
Yeah, we like to drive around the country and visiting and seeing things and seeing new people.
So this has been a common occurrence for you? Have you been to other Mini?
We've been to Mini Meet Easts. And we went around north of Lake Superior, which is a first for us. Long trip, beautiful.
Yeah, so you're having a true vacation.
Absolutely.
And I see you're from Scotland.
Well, I was born there. So I have a lion rampant.
Tell me, what brings you to the Mini Meets? How do you enjoy them?
Oh, we love it. We have an Ottawa club that's very active, and we're looking forward to the rally and a few of the local tours.
Well, welcome to Winona and have fun.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's Mini S because it's the S model, and I just have a love for Disney. And before I ever bought it, I kind of designed it online with all the spots on it, never knew how I was really going to do it. And eventually over the years it has come to reality, and she's spotted. She's got a roof graphic that's the Disney characters minus Minnie because she's inside driving. When you order it, you could track it. I've actually got a scrapbook that I didn't bring that's all Disney, but it has all the little tracking as it goes through the different stages of the manufacturing and shipping and stuff, and it's all Disney related.
In next week's show, we'll follow the Mini Meet and observe the 200 Minis show their stuff at the Lake Park Bandshell, race around at the Autocross at the Southeast Technical Racetrack, find out what a Mini Meet Foncana is, and visit with Mini owners as they gather during a cruise night at the Lakeview Drive-In. Thank you for joining me. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the Spirit of the Heartland. Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland. In the first part of the Mini Meat Show aired last week, we visited St. Jan's Field behind St. Mary's University, along with 300 visitors to Winona to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Mini automobile, created in England and cherished throughout the United States. Winona was thrilled to have the Mini Meet here in the Heartland, and people attending the event felt the same way. In today's second part of the Mini Meet, we attend the different venues for the event and learn more about the enthusiasm for the little car. The next location for the Mini Meet was the Lake Park Bandshell, where the Mini owners listened to a Beatles-like rock group called the Invaders. The Mini Classic is known as the car of the 60s in Britain, the same decade renowned for the British invasion of music to the United States. Here we discovered people traveled great distances in their Mini to get here.
This is from Danger Man. There's a man who leads a life of danger.
And some were lucky enough to simply drive across town in their Mini.
This is Mary Jane Sobek, who is from Winona, and she has just a beautiful Mini.
This is the Mini Clubman. It's a 209. I got it last Halloween. It's just my pride and joy. It's my baby.
It's got a lot of space in here, too.
Yeah, oh, very much. And I love and it has, it does not have the big CDs. I use my iPod for music.
iPod?
Mm-hmm.
You are with it, girl.
You bet. That's what happens when you own a Mini. This is just so thrilling to me to think that I own a Mini and I am in Winona where the rally is. Yeah. It's just awesome to me. I'm going to take part of every part that I can. This is the most awesome thing I've ever done. It is such fun.
We also met Darren, who proves even the tallest people can enjoy a Mini.
Where are you from?
I'm from Denver, Colorado.
And how did you find your way here to Winona?
Well, I headed north and drove around Lake Superior to Toronto for Mini Meet North, which was last weekend, and went to Mosport Raceway for some races. And then came here for Mini Meet East-West 2009. So that's about 4,000 miles, roughly, of driving.
That's a long ways. And you drove it all in your little Mini?
Yep, drove it all the way. I pretty much drive country roads and off-roads to get where I want to go. The highway's pretty boring, so you don't get to see very many interesting things. Now I got to see the world's largest concrete fish in northern Minnesota, so I like taking my time and having a fun trip. That's what this whole meet is about, having fun and celebrating the Mini.
Well, how do you like Winona so far, other than it's a little cloudy, a little cool?
You know, it's a nice town. I've been through several smaller towns, and I got to say, the selection of restaurants and the lake is beautiful.
Well, you know, yours is kind of a prime example here. I've been looking at yours and the white one next to it and then the red one, and actually the two of these are a lot smaller than that red one. Does the new one weigh a lot more than the old one?
Yes, considerably. My car weighs about 1,500 pounds. The new Mini is probably close to 2,400 pounds. But it has modern safety features like airbags, crash impacts areas. You know, they've got all kinds of power windows, power steering, stuff like that, stuff that I don't have.
There is a definite distinction between the old Mini and the new Mini. And even though the classic Mini owners welcome the new Mini owners equally, there was definitely more interested in the classic cars, simply because they are more unusual, and there was such a variety of them. Take Brian Smart's Riley Elf, for instance.
Actually, it's not a Mini. It's a 1968 Riley Elf, which is actually a variant of a Mini. I don't know how many total Minis there were made over the course of the years, you know, the 40 years that they actually built them, but this was only built for 8 years and they only made about 30,000 of them. I took out the original approximately 40 horsepower engine, and I've got a 1995 Honda single overhead cam VTEC that's got about 130 horsepower.
Is this car smaller than the classic Mini?
It's actually not. It's actually about 10 inches longer because it has the little boot in the back.
Yeah. Brian, now this one has a different grille here.
Yes.
So is this part of the Minis that are a little bit more upscale?
Yeah, well, the Riley Company and the Wolseley Company both made their own version of the Mini, the Riley Elf and the Wolseley Hornet, and they're very similar looking. But the differences are that the Wolseley, if you kind of use a modern comparison, the Mini being a Chevrolet, the Wolseley was like an Oldsmobile, and the Riley was the Cadillac. So the Riley had extra chrome. It had the different grille. It had a lot more chrome on the body. It came with a leather interior and a wooden dash. So yes, it was an upscale version of the Mini. I think it cost a few pounds more at the time, but it was advertised as being more than a Mini. And I found this car on eBay, and I'm in South Carolina, and I actually bought it from a guy that's in Minnesota, and had it shipped to Charleston, South Carolina about 5 years ago. So it's sort of kind of come home.
There was a story behind every Mini that showed up in Winona for the 50th anniversary. People drove from all over the United States and Canada for the 4-day event. On the third day, the Minis gathered at Southeast Technical Grounds for the Autocross and the Funkana.
Pat Marshall from Tempe, Arizona, who is the photographer here today, and he's watching this race closely with me, and he's going to explain this race to us, the autocross. Tell us about it.
Well, the autocross is a timed event where the driver races against himself around a pre-designed course of cones and pylons to see how fast he can skillfully maneuver his Mini Cooper around the course.
So it's a time thing against himself. What kind of times are they looking at here?
Well, it looks, from what I've been watching on the scoreboard so far, it looks like the averages are in the 60-second range. So I'm pretty sure the top time of day will be probably mid or early 50-second range.
What kind of things do they have to watch out for? What kind of things are they docked for?
Knocking over a pylon, knocking it out of its pre-designated spot on the track. They are docked 2 seconds. If they deviate from the course, then they are disqualified. So, and then the added thing here I see at this particular course, if you put your tires in the grass, you're fined $5. $5 a tire.
Oh, that gets a little pricey.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, now tell me about some of the people who are maybe a bit more unique than the others, or maybe the cars that are more unique in the autocross.
Well, the convertibles are always unique because you have a good view of the driver, and they're very rare, so you don't see many of them. So most of them like to keep them at home in garages, but the enthusiasts here get them out on the track like everybody else and have fun. There are a series of classes in this, configured by car with engine displacement, suspension, tire size. And the top time of the day we'll get an individual award, as will each class. And I think there's 5 or 6 different classes here.
This is a real exciting event, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. People have tons of fun. You don't have to be fast to have fun. This is where you can drive your car illegally and it's okay.
So you just ran the autocross. How was it for you?
It's a nice autocross. You got a lot of technical areas, and they've pointed out things pretty well, but it's not too penalizing for us bigger minis. Some of the courses that they put with the mini meet easts are very, very tight for the little minis, which makes it very difficult for us big minis. So this one was very fair to both, I think.
And you have a beautiful little car. Tell me about your car.
Well, it's the Killer Bee. Years ago, I used to use the Killer Bee long driver, and I asked to use their logo because most of my cars are yellow with black stripes, and they let me use their logo. So I'm Dr. Killer Bee everywhere, and so I didn't like the yellow in the Mini, so I got a black one and put the yellow stripes on it.
Hi, Terilyn. Where are you from?
Orlando, Florida.
Okay. Now you just ran in the race here.
Yeah, the autocross. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me what it was like for you. It was your first time, I understand.
Yeah, this is my first autocross that I've done, and I was really nervous, but it was a lot of fun. So.
And now you're getting ready for the second run,
Yeah,
right?
this will give me my second run. So we have 6 runs here, so hopefully I'll be better. Next time I'll look at my time.
While the minis were lined up for the autocross, on the other side of the Southeast Technicals campus, there were more minis lined up for the Funkana. George Farr, who is one of the organizers of the Mini Cooper event. Hi, George.
Hi there.
Now, this is the Funkana going on behind us. Tell us what the Funkana is all about.
Well, the Funkana is essentially a kind of a gimmick rally. It's a slow-speed course, and then you have certain tasks to do. It's just meant for fun. It's not very competitive, but it is timed. We've themed ourselves the Minnesotan Job after the 69 movie The Italian Job and the remake in 2003. We made a course that resembles the 69 movie's bank heist, where they're stealing the gold and then in Italy and trying to get to Switzerland to make their getaway. Common things to both movies is that you fool the traffic computer in the town that you're in. And we've used that with some props here and a stoplight. And then you proceed to the where they make the truck heist and steal the gold from that. when they make their getaway, the first thing they do as they come out of the building that they were stealing the gold from is they make a loop around an Italian piazza. After that, they're heading through the town, but the police are on their tail, so they hide in the Fiat parking lot. And then they do the miraculous escape through the sewers of Turin. And we've simulated that with a car canopy. And then once they get out of that, they're winding their way through the Alps to get away. And then we have the other side of the prop is the Swiss bank. So that's where they make their deposit.
And then they're finished, and then they come.
Then they're done, they come back. And we added a couple little twists. Right at the beginning, they have to answer 10 trivia questions about the 1969 and the 2003 Italian Job movies, just for a little fun.
It looks like everyone's really enjoying themselves with the event. Does this take place with every mini meet?
It's a lot of the mini meets are all set up very similarly and have their own flavor to it, but the Fun Con is usually one event. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Have fun. Nice meeting with you.
Thank you.
They're just a blast to drive, and they're pretty unique.
I think they're the instant friend maker. Like immediately as you're driving down the street, people will wave and ask questions about it, and if you pull in for gas, everybody just loves to talk to you. So
And they always ask, is that real? Like,
is it street legal? And yes, it is.
There was a guy that ran around town in a Cooper S when I was doing a paper route, and it said Super Duper Mini Cooper. I just always wanted one. Finally, I got married, started having kids, started looking for one, and it was always sold by the time I got it. Well, I finally bought one, and I've had many since then. There's 9 in the family right now, and we just love the cars.
The fun from the Funkana continued on that evening when the Minis from Britain shared space with the American hot rods from the 60s at the Lakeview Drive-In during one of their locally famous cruise nights.
So it's Britain cars versus American cars, and I understand, Carl, that you've never had this happen before.
No, not really. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy with the great big thundering engines of the American hot rods and street machines up with the little minis and their small engines that, they're kind of different philosophies of cars. The minis are the road holding, twisty road type cars, and the American cars are the thundering down the straightaways and drag strip type cars, but it's a fun night for everybody, I think, just to see the other side of things.
How are the people who came to the convention that haven't been here before in Winona, how are they enjoying and viewing this night?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of smiles on both sides of the fence here, and it's just kind of a cool thing that everybody's here. We're all car nuts, and just to see what the other guys have, and I think a lot of people appreciate the other things that they don't have, but they can only do one thing at a time. So they're either into like minis or they're into hot rods or whatever. But we're all car guys, and it just shows here tonight. So that's fun.
So it's kind of a bonding experience here for your attendees, along with the Winona area and Lakeview Drive. And do you think this might prompt you to come back and have your next reunion here?
It's possible. Yeah, it's a great place to be. I've heard a lot of good comments from the people attending the mini meet. What great sites we've had to put on our different events, and just everybody loves it. Yeah. It's great.
I'm glad to hear that. I think the only flaw is maybe a little gray sky, but If you come back in 5 years, I promise sunshine for you.
Okay, well, you know, it hasn't been hot. A week ago it was 95 and the humidity was almost as much, and it's comfortable. And yeah, it's a little cloudy, but it hadn't rained on us the whole time. I mean, in the morning early before the things got underway one day, but that was it. So we
Life is a trade-off anyway, isn't it, right?
It is.
This is Roger the Hat, who came all the way from England to see us here in Winona with his Mini Cooper.
That's right.
Wow, I am impressed that you came all the way from England. Well, what do you think of Winona?
It's wonderful. We had a lovely drive round this afternoon, went up to see the Mississippi. Absolutely wonderful. Never seen the Mississippi before. One thing I wanted to see was a paddle steamer, but no paddle steamers.
No, we don't have one right now, but at one point we had like 1,500 going through the Mississippi right by our town.
Goodness me, unbelievable, 1,500.
Yep, we have a fabulous history here. This little car brought you here. Tell me about this little car.
Well, I flew over from London to my friend Mike, who lives on Vancouver Island, and he invited me to come down in his new VTEC Mini, which is a Honda VTEC Mini, and we had a wonderful drive down here. Bit bumpy on the roads, you know, like this, and I fell asleep at one time with all the bumping like this, but I'm all right here.
What's the highlights of this little car?
The highlight is that Mike has put a Honda VTEC engine into this Mini, which is a very difficult job to do, but he's done an absolutely fantastic job with it. He really has. It's marvellous. And it's so smooth. We'll have a look at the engine. Okay. Right. The Honda VTEC, it's squeezed in, as you can see, really squeezed in. Radiator on the angle, right under here, right under there, and as you can see, the tolerance is here about 1/4 of an inch. So it's squeezed in, but a beautiful engine. Goes absolutely beautifully. 50 miles a gallon we've been doing down here. Wonderful.
Excellent. And it wasn't too cramped inside, riding it all the way from British Columbia?
No, not at all. Comfortable seats, all except for the bumpity bump.
Well, Roger, welcome to Winona. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm pleased to be here too. Thank you very much indeed.
I found a whole group of people that own Coopers, and we're going to talk to them about how they like the Lakeview Drive-In event and how they like the Winona Mini East Meets West event. What do you think?
Oh, I think Winona's great. It's a beautiful town, a little chilly, but I guess we are a little farther north than most people think. I'm from Chicago area, so live in a suburb, and Winona's a great little town, and a lot of green areas, a lot of cool places to hang out. Great root beer here, and good.
So you're having fun?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Beats work.
Did you drive here in your Mini Cooper?
We did, but we live in southern Minnesota, so we only had a 2-hour drive. And it does get warm in Minnesota, believe it or not. We had warm weather just last week.
Are you enjoying the event?
We're loving it. This is the first big event we've been to. We've had our car for about 3 years. Is it 3? And we're just having a great time.
And how's the root beer?
The root beer is wonderful. Lady Bird was right. This is the best root beer.
I'm Evelyn, and I'm from Oregon, and I just figured I brought the weather with me, so it didn't matter. So I'm enjoying myself immensely, had a great time, met new friends, and kept some old ones from mates that I've seen other places. So we've had a really good time.
Everything's been great here.
Lovely place, a little chilly for me.
It does warm up in Minnesota.
Oh, it does? Oh, okay, well, maybe sometime I'll come back and see if it does get warmer in Minnesota. But I'm enjoying it immensely.
Well, thanks for talking with me, everybody. Have a good time and welcome to Winona. It's an exciting night, isn't it?
Isn't this fun? We actually set a new record for cars here tonight.
Our last record was 150 cars, and we've got 191 cars. They're parked 2 blocks up the street in both directions. Of course, the Minis are a little smaller than normal cars, so we can get in a few more. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun, and I think the Minis are having a lot of fun. Our classic car guys are getting to see something they never get to see, and the Mini owners are getting to see some of our classics that they appreciate seeing.
So what's everyone saying about it? Are they all enjoying the root beer, the cars?
They are. They're enjoying the root beer. They like the ice cream. Most of the comments I've heard from the people are they love Winona. They can't believe how beautiful Winona is. You know, the scenic lake that we have, and everybody wants to know what Sugarloaf is all about, and they're very happy with Winona. A lot of people, talking to one guy, he drove here from Texas, and he drove here all the way from Texas in his Mini, and he said, you know, the temperature and just the way Winona is and everything is so green, he said, this is actually paradise. And I said, you're right, it is.
It just makes you so proud, doesn't it?
It does. You know, a lot of us take that for granted. You know, we wake up every morning and we see this kind of beauty, and we do take it for granted, but I appreciate it every day.
Well, Tim, good for you, too, to open up your business and open up this whole event and invite all the new people in town. It's great.
Yeah, we have a good time doing it. We do something different every other week. I think out of 14 cruise nights, we have 8 special events. We do a tractor night, we do a motorcycle night, we did a Corvette night, we do a dash plaque night. We do an audio design, sound, and video night. We've got all kinds of things planned. So if you like this kind of stuff, and I think most people do, every Wednesday night here at the Lakeview.
You look just darling as a car hop.
Thank you.
What's the night been like for you, dealing with all the Mini Cooper people?
It's really hectic. Everyone's just running around. We're trying to keep up. There's lots of cars here, so yeah.
Well, and you absolutely match this one perfectly.
I know. I wish I could drive it.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, it's just trying to run around though, so trying to keep up.
Okay, well, you enjoy yourself. Thanks for talking with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Pat, this has brought in tons of people here to the Lakeview tonight. Wow, there's so many people milling around.
Isn't this fun? I love it.
So fun. Well, how do you feel? You were actually the person that was instrumental for bringing the Mini Cooper event here. How does that feel?
It feels great, but I wasn't the only one. I needed a lot of help, and we couldn't have done this without the help of the hotels and Southeast Technical and St. Mary's and the city, and so a lot of partnerships went into it, and that's how we can do it as a community. It's a real community effort, and everybody benefits, and it's just great. I think everybody's having a great time. I hope everybody gets to watch this. Thank you for your help with this, too.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me today at the Mini Cooper event. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the spirit of the Heartland.